Well, hello everyone. I'm amazed my little credit sequence worked. That's amazing. Who knew? Who knew technology actually came through? My goodness. Hello everyone. Thanks for joining me here on the big open YouTube chat. Open to everybody on YouTube, open to all tiers on my Patreon and all kinds of good stuff. Yay, Wileno's Cave. Thank you. Your credits worked. Huzzah. Huzzah. I'm getting better at this technology stuff with the pushing of the buttons and the learning of the computers. Anyway, thanks for joining me here today. I'm going to be taking your questions as best as I can. My channel members will get priority, and of course my patrons will also get priority. If you are interested in helping out the channel and supporting us, you can do so obviously by liking and subscribing. That's the typical YouTube thing, but also joining us on Patreon or becoming a subscriber right here on YouTube. Also, this is kind of cool. I've got a new product for sale at the store on the website, memyselfandie.com/store. And it's the mug. Dun dun dun! The Me, Myself, and Die mug. Yes, with the giant logo on the back and the other part of the logo on the front, like there. It's all handmade. We do everything ourselves right here in the studio. And yeah, this is going to go up for sale like probably by the end of today. So that'll be cool. I'll probably do some special deal for the next few weeks on it because it's a new product and, you know, gotta push the merch to try and make a living on YouTube. Anyway, there that is. So, got a bunch of people here. Wow, lots of people, which is fantastic. Okay, let's start with the questions. Let's start with the questions and all kinds of things. Okay, so first of all, I've got one from patron here, Mikhail Joseph Agudo. Thanks for joining us, Mikhail. Do you think Hornmaster is easy and quick to solo? No. I do not think it's easy and quick to solo, because Hornmaster, as much as I love it, I think you viewers who have watched my stuff know that it's my favorite game. It's really complicated in terms of its execution. There's a lot of tables involved. There's a lot of niggly details in terms of like a combat and stuff. I love it, but to solo it, that's a lot of work. I mean, it's a lot of work to run it for a regular group, but to try and also do it as a solo. I mean, yes, it's possible. I would not call it easy, which is why I probably won't use it on the show as a system, which is a terrible tragedy. As I said, it's my favorite system in the world, and it'll probably never see the light of day on Me, Myself, and Die. But who knows? Who knows? I could be convinced of all things. Let's go way back to the top here. Steve Rogers had a question before he had to run off, so I'll just get to that now. I'm seeing more and more folks start up solo RPG shows in the same ilk. Really? I was unaware. What advice do you have for folks that want to give it a go? Don't bother. Clearly, I'm impossible to top. I don't know. Be authentic. Enjoy the process. Don't worry too much about technical stuff. You know, that's all I could say. Just have fun with it, and other people watching you will have fun. That's the hope. Okay, let's see what we got down here. Boop, ba boop, bop, boop. That's computer talk for I'm looking for the next question. All kinds of new people here. There's currently 59 viewers. For me, that's a record. That's a total record. So, yay! Yay! Okay, lots of people here. No Mind's Eye says, hello from Finland. Unfortunately, I can't think of anything interesting to ask, so I don't think I'll be putting forth any questions on either here or Patreon. But, well, we thank you for being here regardless. No Mind's Eye. Daemononvirosis says, any chance going back to Savage Worlds for solo? It seemed to run very smoothly the first season. Possibly. It does run very smoothly. I love the game. It's easy. It's quick. It's easy to handle large groups as well, which is a huge advantage if you're dealing with a party, especially a party that's in combat with a larger group of enemies. Savage Worlds is very, very easy to run that way. And it allows you to use all kinds of little minis and terrain and stuff. That's why I picked it for the first season, because I wanted to play with my toys. Would I use it again? Yeah, possibly. I'm really trying to use the show now as kind of a platform to introduce people to new systems that maybe they haven't seen before. That's part of the reason why I use Dominion rules for season 3. I wanted to use something that not everybody knew about, because I want to introduce gamers of all stripes, whether they're solo or not, to the fact that there is a whole universe of games out there that most people don't even know about, because most people got introduced to the game through D&D 5e, and that's what they think when they think a role-playing game, and that's fine and all, but there's so much more. So I kind of want to use my platform to help educate people that there's so many other things. Corey says it's the dice tray we want. Yes, the damn dice tray. Yes, I know. The dice tray is a pain in the ass to make. It's really a pain in the ass to make. And also, to be perfectly honest with you, it's not the greatest dice tray as a dice tray. It looks cool, but it's very shallow. So if you roll with any kind of force whatsoever, your dice will probably go all over the room. So that's not great. We're trying to rejig the design right now to make a better dice tray. So I'll let you know. As we go forward. Oh, Mustafa Khan has given me a little tip of $4.99. Thank you so much for that. That is great. Wallona's Cave. Oh my goodness. Thank you for all you do. Here's lunch on me. Thank you so much. That's incredibly generous. That's great. It's great that you guys have stuck with me all this time on the show. It's and you know, you guys are directly responsible for the success of everything I do on the channel. So without you, I would literally have nothing. I think I've said that before, but it bears saying again. All right. Where are we here? Let me do a little refresh on the old Patreon page here. Okay, so Moses Boyajian, I'm sure I'm mispronouncing all of your names. Have you ever played solo sci-fi? No, but I'm about to with 5 parsecs deep. 5 parsecs deep? What is that? That's a game I don't know, but 5 parsecs from home is the correct name of the game. This is not a role-playing game. This is a solo adventure war game. It's slightly different. It's something that I've always wanted to play, actually, which is the idea that you can have a tactical minis game, but with characters and a narrative attached to it and a little campaign. So I'm very excited about it. It's gonna be very different from my normal show. There's not going to be a whole bunch of like character dialogue and stuff, because that's not really the focus. The focus of this one is going to be me just playing this minis game, and you know, teaching people how it works as well. So, yeah, that's that. Magnificent Devil is a supporter. Welcome to the chat, Magnificent Devil. Okay. Oh boy, they're coming fast and furious here. All right. Where are we here? I'm gonna try and get to all of these guys. Ixa says, hi Trevor, hope you're having a great one. I am, thank you. I'm curious what you think of the old Star Wars tabletop D6 system, as I'll be playing it soon. Any experience there? I have it, because of course I have everything. I've never run it, and I've only played it once, and that was way back in the day. I think it was the late 80s when I played it. And what was hilarious was my friend Ian, who's a brilliant game master. He was running it, and it was possibly the most un-Star Wars-like version of Star Wars we had ever experienced. There was a famous thing in our group that happened because of that Star Wars game. We were basically running from stormtroopers, trying to get to the landing pad, to get to our ship and get out, you know, escape, like the classic Millennium Falcon escape trope from Tatooine, right? And at one point, you know, the stormtroopers were firing at us, and we got in the ship, and me or somebody else got on the big gun and started firing at the stormtroopers. And Ian's description was, the blast hits the stormtroopers in the head, and their heads explode in a pink mist. And we were like, that's not Star Wars. This is like the Warhammer 40K version of Star Wars. So it was to this day, we still talk about the exploding in a pink mist as something that's just wholly inappropriate to whatever genre you're playing. So I played it once. I don't have a lot of experience with it, obviously. I will say that I have a problem. I have difficulty with additive dice pool systems because there's a ton of math. Me and math, we're not friends. We don't do this at all. So if I have an additive system, like an additive system means you're rolling a whole bunch of D6s and you're literally counting the face value of those D6s and arriving at a result which you then compare to a target number. As opposed to something like a Burning Wheel or a Vampire 5th edition, where you're rolling dice and you're only looking for successes. And successes, like in Burning Wheel, is typically a 4, 5, 6. If you see a 4, 5, 6, that's a success, and you just count that. So it's way less math heavy. So yeah, I haven't had a ton of experience with the old West End Games system just because I'm scared of it because it's additive and that makes my brain go. All right, where are we here? Where are we here? Where are we here? Let's have a look. Again, thank you all for joining and welcome to new viewers as well and new subscribers and all that stuff. Todd says, Todd Zurcher, thinking about 5 parsecs in your playstyle, do you see bringing more of the role-playing during fights and downtime? Yeah, there's going to be some of that, obviously, because some of the most interesting things about 5 parsecs from home is the downtime stuff, is the campaign section, what happens in between the missions and how the characters find rumors and how they plot courses to new planets and all that kind of stuff. So there'll be, you know, I'll have fun with that, obviously. It's not just going to be a tactical minis game where you see minis on the board and my hands moving things and rolling dice. It's not going to be that at all. Okay. Grey Army Gaming. Question. Do you find that your solo sessions serve something of a therapeutic role of drawing out deep truths that you have been consciously or unconsciously wrestling with? Perhaps you would ask me if role-playing makes me think about my mother. Like, I'm not sure where you're going with that. The short answer is no. I don't really view role-playing as therapy. It's just fun, and I'm an actor, and so I like to play characters with my toys. Okay, where are we here? Oh, Dizzy Billy, do you have a better idea of when the next season will be airing? Not anytime soon. I really have to be careful with the regular show because it is a tremendous amount of work. Not only technically, it's a tremendous amount of work creatively for me. So I have to be very careful not to burn myself out and do too much at once. So I'm really enjoying right now doing these supplemental videos and like the post-session reflections and the mailbags and the Sage's libraries. And you know, this 5 parsecs campaign, when it goes up, it's gonna be really cool. It's not gonna go on for huge amounts of time, I don't think. But I've got a few things in the works too. I want to do a lot more demonstrations of things. Like somebody I think asked me about doing a demonstration of. It was Mikhail again. Is there any chance of a West Marches solo sandbox season? Not a season exactly, but I'm going to do an episode or two that demonstrates exactly how I did the Forbidden Lands hex crawl. And I'm also going to do something I think called D100 Dungeon by Martin Knight. Martin is good enough to have sent me basically all of his products. They're really cool. It is a solo adventure game, very much dungeon crawly, hex crawly, really cool systems, and I'm really inspired by it. So I'm probably going to do like a very detailed playthrough of these things too. Again, not to the level that I would do with a normal show, but you know, because they just look like so much fun. And I think it would be great if all of you out there got introduced to these things that maybe you don't know about. So there is that one. All kinds of stuff coming up, but not the main season for a while. I need to breathe through it. I just need to, you know. Okay, Skinny Jean. Hello, Skinny Jean. How do you determine the seriousness of a yes but no answer or a no but answer? I see. How do you determine the seriousness of a yes but or a no but answer? I think that's the question. The seriousness? Everything I do is based on context. So if, you know, I always go with my first instinct that makes sense within the context of the scene, of the situation. So normally that presents itself very quickly, right? The classic example a lot of people use is the rogue, the thief, is trying to pick the lock while he knows there's guards coming down the hall. So a yes and answer would be, or an extreme yes, if you're using Mythic, would be not only does he pick the lock, but he's able to get inside and close it before the guards even know he's there. A yes answer is, yes, he picks the lock and gets inside. A yes but would be, yes, he does pick the lock, but the guard's around the corner. Deal with that new obstacle, right? Everything is about, is there a new obstacle that the character has to face? That's what keeps the drama going. That's what keeps the action going. A no... or a no but answer in that case. No, he doesn't pick the lock, but something positive happens anyway. So in that case, no, he doesn't pick the lock, but the guards are aware that something's wrong, but they haven't seen him yet. Okay? A no answer, no, he doesn't pick the lock. And no, he doesn't pick the lock, and it breaks in the lock, and the guard's around the corner, and now there's a fight, right? All context-based. You just got to let your imagination go, right? You just got to just be open to the interpretations and really, and this has been said many times by other people as well, you can't stop and judge your choices, because if you do, you're not going to make the choice. You just have to go, this is what I think it is, boom, go. It doesn't matter whether it's exactly accurate to the outcome of the roll. It doesn't matter. I treat the dice rolls and I treat the oracles as jumping off points, as inspiration points. So like in Mythic, if I'm rolling a descriptor, right? Of the tables, like pursue love or something like that. I don't take that super literally all the time, because you don't have to. It's just something that indicates an image in my mind, and I latch onto that immediately and just go with it. Yeah, so that's that. Okay, let's do a little refresh here to make sure I'm not missing any patrons, and I'll scroll down here as well. Okay, let's go down. Hannah K, you made it! Huzzah! That is one of my YouTube members. Hello, hello, hello. Oh, let me just take a little sip of grape juice here. Magnificent Devil says Rangers of Shadowdeep is good for that too. That's a great game. That's a lot of fun. I was actually going to do a Rangers of Shadowdeep demo. I still might, because it's so much fun. It's so much fun. For those of you who don't know, Rangers of Shadowdeep is a lot like 5 Parsecs from Home, except it's fantasy. A different system. It's based on a D20. But it's great. It's a cool little campaign. Really flavorful. It's just it's great. All right, where are we here? Oh, where are we? Oh my goodness, my humble farmer says, Trevor, today my partner and I are going to start a first improv class in Vancouver, BC, my old stomping grounds. I lived in Van for 15 years. I'm partly doing it to get better at my solo games. Do you have any recommendations for first timers for improv class? Yeah, the rule of thumb in improv class is never reject the offer. So the answer is always yes, right? If someone, I used to teach this stuff, and how I would teach it sometimes is to say, okay, I'm playing with a ball, right? Here's the ball. And if I toss the ball to you, you need to catch the ball. Because if you don't catch the ball, you haven't accepted my offer. And if you haven't accepted my offer, the scene dies. And that is exactly the same in solo gaming, or in any collaborative gaming for that matter. You know, you have to accept the offer in order to build on what the person did before. Now, it's slightly different if you're a GM with players, because, you know, the player might say, well, I flap my arms and fly to the moon. Obviously, the GM isn't going to say, yes, and when you get there, you're rich, or whatever. The GM's going to say, no, that's stupid. That doesn't happen. But typically speaking, in an improv situation, which is basically what solo gaming is, the answer is yes. Say yes. Say yes to the offer and go with it, right? Just like I said before about interpretation of oracle results. Go with your first instinct. All right. Never Fear 1911 YouTube channel member. Are you prepping for the 5 Parsecs from Home? Absolutely. All kinds of stuff's going on. I've got a whole bunch of new miniatures sent by some of my patrons, which is great. And a bunch of companies that have sort of unofficially sponsored the show. I did a mailbag episode on Battle Systems Terrain. They've sent me a whole bunch of stuff. So I'm looking forward to that. I have a few more minis I have to paint, which I hate because I'm terrible at it. But yeah, very close to starting that now. In fact, I was just reading the rules again this morning, so it's coming up very soon. Not to worry. Okay, where are we here? Scott Miller says, really enjoying seeing the different rule sets in the main games and in the Sage's Library. That is how I discovered Ironsworn, and it's my default for solo now. That's great. Again, that's kind of what I'm hoping to do. I'm hoping to introduce you folks to stuff you maybe have not been exposed to before. So that's awesome. That's really the main reason why I started doing Sage's Library, just because I just thought, there's so much more than D&D, guys. There's so much more. Okay. Martin says, you are the best on YouTube. Oh, well, thank you very much. I do try. All right. RPGs and more. Have you ever considered writing your own solo game RPG? No. There's far too many better designers out there that have already done all the work. So I will just play their games. I will not write my own. I'm way too lazy for that. Okay. Bazooka Show. Also from Finland. I'm in love with solo role-playing, but every time I sit down to play, I feel overwhelmed. Where to start? How to keep notes? How much to create? Any tips? Start small. Always start small. When I started in Season 1 with Simon, I started by creating the character, rolling him up randomly. basically starting him in media res, which means in the middle of the action, and I randomly determined what that action was. He was trying to save his friend from being hung, for those of you who remember episode 1 of season 1. And then you just go from there. And I wasn't thinking about the big picture. I wasn't thinking about the world. I wasn't thinking about any of that. All I was thinking about was what is happening for Simon right here, right now. What is his immediate desire? What is his immediate obstacle that he has to overcome in order to achieve that desire? And you, start small. If you look at my show, each season starts very small and builds, but it builds on top of itself. At least that's the goal. That's the hope. At the beginning of season 2, I had no idea what Arn's quest was. All I knew was that he had to get to a place. That's it. He had to get to a place. That's all I knew. And gradually, it became apparent. And as each new piece of information came to me, I wrote it down, considered how it connects to everything that has come before, and slowly built it into the storyline. So just take it one step at a time. Really, that's all there is to it. Magnificent Devil in the dark future of the 41st millennium, there's only Star Wars. Yeah, exactly. As heads are exploding in pink mists all over the place. Mustafa, any collaborations with other YouTubers in the works? Sort of, yeah. I don't want to say anything about it now for obvious reasons. But yeah, I've reached out to a few people, and there's some interesting things that we're trying to get going. So we'll see. I love the idea of cross promotion. I love the idea of working directly with other YouTubers that are doing similar stuff. Because I think, I have some cool ideas that could really sort of heighten the game, so to speak. But we shall see. Boy, so many here. So many. Really trying to get to everybody here, but of course that's going to be impossible. Okay. RPG Madness, ever play Powered by the Apocalypse solo? No, but probably really easy to do. And who knows, that may come. I have not yet decided what the system is going to be for Season 4. So it could be a Powered by the Apocalypse game. There are many to choose from. I haven't even really thought about Season 4 because, again, I'm still decompressing from Season 3. Season 3 took me 10 months to do of constant work. So I'm just like, nope, I'm leaving Simon, Arn, and Edbert just to rest for now, and I'll come back to them when I'm ready. When I'm ready. Okay. Got all these things here. Let's get to Wallona's Cave here. Trevor, do you have the new Savage Worlds Fantasy Companion? No, I do not. No, I do not. Not yet. Will you try T2K solo on the channel? Asks Never Fear 1911. Yeah, I'm going to start a new series called Featureless Great Plain. And there's a reason why it's called that. Where it's me basically demonstrating combat systems of different games. Always using the same two characters, or versions of the same two characters. Because it's something I did as a young gamer, especially when I bought a new game, the first thing I would do is roll up the same character, Black Jay, my original paladin, but I would roll him up in the system that I was using, and I would put him on a featureless Great Plain, which just meant a battle mat with no obstacles, no terrain, nothing like that, simply to focus on the basics of the combat system. And I would put Black Jay up against an orc, and I would go through, and I would get the stats of the orc, and I would have Black Jay's freshly rolled stats, and I would fight. And I would do that to teach myself the system. So I thought that'd be kind of neat to do for all my systems, or a bunch of them, for you guys, so that you can see the details of how these things work as well, if you're unfamiliar. So that's coming out soon-ish. And T2K is going to be part of that, although Black Jay is probably not going to be the character because he was a fantasy paladin, and T2K is a post-apocalyptic military game. But it does have solo rules as well, which is great. As does the One Ring. I believe Sean made those rules. Haven't had a chance to look at it yet. The books are sitting still in their cellophane on my shelf. I haven't got to them yet, but I will. There's a lot right now on my plate in terms of videos I want to do and things I want to highlight and focus on. So I will get to all of this eventually. Okay, here we go. So this is... Let's go to channel member Jared253. What part of the show, plot-wise, has been the biggest surprise for you? Oh, wow, there's so many. Obviously, and spoiler alert, obviously the end of season 2 was a giant surprise. The roll of 91 changed the entire course of the story, at least right at the end. So that was a big one. But there have been many. There was a huge surprise in season 1 when we realized that Simon's father was a ghost the whole time, who didn't know he was a ghost. He was still tethered to the world. That was a big surprise. And how do you deal with that? Oh my God. So yeah, there was a lot. There was a ton in season 3 as well. People often ask me what my favorite season is. That's a real tough call because they're so different. And I did it on purpose. I wanted to give each one a very distinct flavor. The first one, very sort of standard fantasy, almost D&D-ish fantasy. The second one, much more grim and dark and cold and Viking and northern. The third one, very much piratey, Mediterranean, or Caribbean rather, Caribbean Sea, ships of the line and sailing ships and cannons and stuff like that. So it's hard to tell which one is my favorite for sure. Okay, where are we? Yeah. Just a little reminder for those of you just joining us now, we have a new product that's going to go up on the website for sale. These are the mugs, the Me, Myself, and Die mugs, all fully handmade right here in the studio. So check out memyselfandie.com/store to check those out. Never Fear 1911 asks, how long did it take for you to be almost spontaneous with Oracle results? Often I have to literally sleep on it to return to it with an idea, come back to it after a few days. That kills momentum. I would imagine it does. There is a lot of people from what I read that do that. I think these are people that typically journal more. I can't say that for certain because I don't know their process, but I'm assuming that these are journaling gamers where they're really taking the time to consider things and going back and writing it out rather than playing it in the moment. I am very much an immediate gamer, so I play in the moment. If I go away and sleep on it, I'll lose all my momentum and forget about it. Plus the fact I'm shooting a show, so I can't afford to do that. I have to come up with an answer now. So necessity is the father of creativity, mother of invention. That's it. Necessity is the mother of invention. I don't have time to not come up with something, so I have to. And again, that's why I go with my first instinct. Boom. Go with my instinct. This is the thing I'm going to do. And that's the way it is. How long did it take for me to be almost spontaneous? Instantly. Because I just trusted my imagination. And as long as you do that, as long as you go with your first result that comes to your head. And remember, too, some things, when you roll on those tables, sometimes you're not going to get an idea. Sometimes nothing happens. That's fine. You just move on. You don't dwell on it. You don't think, oh, but this should be a thing, and I failed. Mea culpa, I failed. No, you just move on. Yes. So Maul asks, so basically create a roll-up, a goal for your character to start. I think that's a great idea. Because a character has to want something. I said this in my 9 tips for solo RPG video. I also talked about it in the West Marches video I just released a couple days ago. If you don't have a character that wants to achieve something, you have no character. A character that doesn't want anything, nothing happens to that person. Or at the very best, they're a passive character that the world just happens to, and those are boring. Those are boring characters. They're boring in drama. They're boring in games. So you need to have a goal. I think it's best practices, which is why Ironsworn gets this so right with its vow system. It's best practices to make sure your character has what we call in drama a super objective. Something that the character is trying to achieve above and beyond all of the day-to-day mundane stuff. In Season 2, Arn's super objective was to find and defeat the dragon. Right? We didn't know that until about episode 4, but that was the main vow. And everything else that he did was in service to that objective. All kinds of side quests, but at the end of the day, those side quests always led him back to the road that pointed to the dragon. It really keeps your games focused. It's an excellent tip for those of you trying to do this for yourselves. Okay, I'm falling behind here. I'm not going to get to any of this stuff. Oh, where are we here? Okay. Hannah asks, will you be reprising your role as Emperor Zappity Zappity in the future? For those of you who don't know, I'm the voice of Emperor Palpatine on the Lego Star Wars series and specials for Disney Plus and all this kind of stuff. I can't say that. I can't say anything about that. I'm bound by NDA to not discuss future projects, unfortunately, so you'll just have to keep your eyes open. But I will say that Emperor Palpy is he's one of my favorite characters to play. Certainly, one of my favorite characters to play. Zappity zappity. All right. Wham, what is your favorite NPC of all seasons? NPC. So we're not counting the fact that Arn and Edbert started as NPCs and became main characters. We're talking NPCs. I liked Vale a lot. She was she was pretty kick-ass. I also like Stratton. Stratton was the guy that fought with Simon and Company right at the tail end of season 1. He was sort of a neat character. He started as a bounty hunter against them, and then joined them later, and then he got killed. But he was sort of a neat character. Yeah, hard to say. There was lots. Okay, Dizzy Billy, question: have you ever played or considered playing in a setting based off a novel you have read or a movie you have watched? Yeah, sort of. I have considered playing in pre-existing settings, not so much based on novels or movies, but based on my friend's setting. My friend Ian, that heads exploding at a pick mess GM, he's a tremendous map maker. He did a lot of the maps for season 3 for me, actually, of the show. A tremendous map maker. In fact, I think he's starting a Patreon page where he's going to provide these really awesome maps for people. So I had an idea for season 4 where I would be utilizing his maps way more often in my show. It's not really a setting. He's basically just drawing a map of unexplored areas of my world, and then I'm going to sort of populate it as we go, is the plan. But not really. I like to keep the settings, I like to invent them as I go rather than be tied to them beforehand, just because the nature of my solo show is discovery in the moment. So I don't want too much overhead in terms of setting. I don't want too much. I don't want too much backstory that I'm sort of slave to. You know what I mean? I want to be able to sort of make it up as I go along and connect my own dots that way, because that creates a more consistent world that I'm building. Anyway, okay, where are we here? Wallona's Cave says Ironsworn is sort of like Powered by the Apocalypse. Yeah, it's definitely inspired by that chassis, by that framework for sure. Really great game. It took me a while to sort of get Ironsworn, to figure it out, but once I did, I was like, oh, I get this now. And I miss it. Like, I think back at Ironsworn, I think it really, really does its job so well. It really focuses the character to keep doing what they're supposed to do. It's just if you haven't checked out Ironsworn, which I don't imagine there's a lot of you that haven't checked out Ironsworn, but if you haven't, it's free on Drive-Thru-RPG. There's a link for it in my page below in the comment section. Check it out. Sean did fantastic work with it. Takes a second if you're sort of a more traditional gamer like I am to sort of grok it, but once you do, it's super, super cool. All right. Dizzy asks, Season 4 RPG poll? No, I'm not going to leave that up to you. That has to be my choice for the system, because it's a very particular thing to me. I have to be in love with the system in order to run it properly, so I can't have that imposed upon me from outside. Wallona's Cave says 95 are watching. Awesome. Yes, that is 99 at the moment. Oh, my goodness. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the chat. I am trying to get to all of you eventually. Okay. Never Fear says the moment with Simon and his father was good. Yeah, that was nice. Now, somebody in the comments not too long ago mentioned that they said something to the effect of they likened Simon's father's condition to Alzheimer's. And that was very astute, because that's where I was going with that. My own father actually died of Alzheimer's. So obviously that situation was, unbeknownst to me, inspired by personal events. And I didn't really realize that until after the game was over. And I went, oh, I think I just exorcised some demon. I think I just went through therapy, like I said at the beginning of this chat that I don't do. So maybe I'm a hypocrite after all. But yeah, that was very much in my mind. Once it had been discovered that he didn't know where he was anymore, and he was and I was just like, that's so tragic, because Alzheimer's is such a terrible, terrible thing to watch someone go through. So yes, it was good. It was a difficult moment, but had a lovely sort of resolution, which is nice. Okay. Jared253 says, can't wait to put that mug next to my ugly one. Good. Well, as I said, you can order it hopefully in the next few hours. Excuse me. I got a frog in my throat, apparently. Really deep. Grey Army Gaming, do you have a European store yet? No. I'm just one guy. I'm literally one guy in a house doing a thing. Overseas shipping is a pain. It's dreadful, the amount. And I see a lot of my fans in Europe or South America buying merchandise, and I'm like, oh my God, $30, $35 for shipping. It's just insane. I wish there was something I could do about it, but I can't. I can't control any shipping costs. And like I said, I'm just some dude, so I don't have affiliates in Germany or England or something that could help. Maybe one day, but certainly right now. Okay. Where are we? Oh, Carlos, of course. Everybody's asking about Carlos. Carlos was a great NPC. I've said before, I don't understand the love of Carlos. To me, he was just a scumbag pirate. But people loved him, and so he survived somehow. Carlos, yes. He was fun to play. It was very fun to play. Magnificent Devil says this show helped me to play solo spontaneously. I had tried journal gaming and it didn't ever work for me because it isn't natural. It's unnatural. Seeing how you actually play solo made it click for me. That's good. I'm glad you got something out of it. I haven't done journaling, so I don't know anything about that. I can't really comment on it. But I know a lot of people do it, and a lot of people are very successful with that. Okay. Where are we here? Let's get to some people that I haven't. Oh, Ricardo Mazito says, have you ever thought about playing live? No editing, slightly lower quality, but you can do it more often, maybe one time a week. Nope. I've never considered that because, and I'm going to say something that may be controversial to the internet out there. I do not understand why any of you watch live role-playing shows. I don't get it. Oh my God, cancel him at once. The reason why I say that is I grew up in a time when role-playing was something you did not talk about. You didn't advertise it. It was not cool back in the 80s. It was not. It was something you got your ass kicked for if you mentioned it at school. In a lot of cases, certainly in mine. We didn't even call it D&D. We called it the game. We're going to play the game tonight, the game. It was always just this mysterious thing, this nebulous thing. Completely different world, like a different planet than it is today. Where everybody and their dog goes, oh yeah, I'm so cool at playing D&D. Online, and people are watching me. I don't get it, but hey, I'm an old man. So I don't understand what you kids these days are into. So I won't do it live because, I hate the pauses. Even now, the umming and the throat clearing and all that stuff, I can't stand it. It drives me nuts. So I can't burden viewers with watching that too. I edit my shows very, very carefully. I cut out all that stuff. That's why there's a ton of jump cuts in my show. Because I cut out moments where I'm, that kind of stuff. Hate it. It's gotta go. Because I'm producing a show. Not a game. I mean, it is a game. But it's foremost a show. Designed for entertainment and designed for people who don't necessarily play games. My goal is to be able to do a show, and I've said this before, that is entertaining to people who do not play role-playing games. Because I'm an entertainer, so that's my goal. So I don't think I will ever do anything. I shouldn't say that. I should never say never, because you do never know. But right now, I certainly have no plans to do anything live. It's not my thing. Okay. Where are we here? So many. Oh, we have a fan from Argentina. Jansho X Hans. Greetings from Argentina. Your videos are great and have helped me a lot to introduce me to more interesting mechanics in my role-playing games. That's awesome. That means we're doing our job, which is excellent. Akamai says, Akamai? Not sure. Any thoughts on The Witcher tabletop RPG? I have the PDF. I've not even looked at it. So no thoughts on that. I'm always interested in new games, obviously, and that is a tremendous series, book series, as well as a TV series, and video game. The Witcher 3 is probably one of the best games I've ever played. Just fantastic. Ryan D says, with the Canadian flag. Oh, that's good, Ryan A. Welcome to the stream, fellow Canuck. That's cool. Love the Delta Green video. Had me thinking how you would even do an investigative campaign solo. Well, if you go back to see the end of season 1, the last thing that they have to deal with from like episode 19 onwards is a murder mystery. And so that's how you would do an investigative campaign. So go check that one out. Where are we? Okay. Scrapper Lock says, thanks for introducing me to Harnmaster and Harnworld. I'm getting ready to start a solo Savage Worlds game set in Harn. You are welcome. Harnworld, I'm going to do a full Sage's Library on Harnworld. I did one on Harnmaster, but I want to talk about the world because Harnworld is a world, and it's a supplement, released, I want to say 81, maybe, by N. Robin Crosby, out of Vancouver, actually. He was an Englishman, or a Brit, rather, but he was based in Vancouver, BC. Harnworld was a product that when I got it, I didn't get it. I didn't understand it. I didn't understand how you could play in this world, but there's all kinds of reasons for that. My age, my lack of experience with certain things. I didn't truly get Harn until somewhere around 2010. And when I did, suddenly I saw so much. It was like I was reading the same book years later, but suddenly it was like someone had written in invisible ink in between the lines about all the hidden adventure gems in there. And I'd never seen it before, but suddenly I did. And I was so inspired. It is such an excellent world, such an excellent world. I'm definitely going to do an episode on it because the more people that get introduced to Harn, I think the better, because it's so good and it's so malleable. You can turn it into whatever you want it to be, which is really great. David Silverman says, you're an inspiration. Thank you, my friend. That means a lot hearing that from you guys. My humble farmer, Trevor, have you ever played RPGs using a language other than English at the table? Well, I only speak English. I may do many accents, but the only language I speak is English. So no, I wouldn't know. Je ne sais pas un RPG avec le français language. Okay. Zero. Question. What is the best random encounter book out there? I don't know. There's too many. I just was sent one, which I'm going to do a mailbag on, Untold Encounters of the Random Kind. I believe I saw a review on this on Questing Beast, which is a great channel you guys should check out if you haven't already. This is a fantastic supplement. Ostensibly, it's for the dreaded 5e, but not necessarily. You don't have to use it for that. You can use it for any fantasy world. I'm going to do kind of a weird little playthrough using this book, because it's really cool. But in terms of the best one, I don't know. Obviously, the supplements that I use in the show, which are all available from my drive-through RPG links listed in the notes below, are all really useful. But the best one, I don't know. And that's also a matter of opinion. Like Tome of Adventure Design, is that the one I used quite a bit? That's a really great one, but it's very high fantasy. Sometimes you don't need that. Sometimes you want something that's a little more low fantasy. So it depends, right? Depends on what your needs are. Okay. Sebastian asks, do you still play for yourself without a camera? No, I don't. For me, the playing of the game now is all for you. All for you, my lovely viewers. Alice says hi from Germany. Guten Tag, Alice. It is nice to have you here on the chat. Brian, have you ever heard of Worlds Without Number? Not only have I heard of it, I own it, and I run it. Or I have run it. I run Stars Without Number. That's another episode I'm going to do about the faction play part of Stars Without Number. I'm going to demonstrate that on a video upcoming. Okay. Never Fear says Arn was a random NPC, but he ended up being a protagonist. That is true, and that arose organically through play, which was really, really cool. I was very happy with how that turned out, because he turned out to be a really cool protagonist too. Wallona's Cave, have you ever used tarot cards or other types of cards in solo RPG for prompts? No, I haven't. However, when I started season 2, which took place in the Ironlands, the very Vikingish kind of setting, I had a bag of Norse runes, and I thought, I'm going to use this to help with the Oracle results. And I never did, because I forgot I had it. But it would have been so great and so visual too, because you pull a couple of runes from the bag and you put that down. That would have been so great. I just forgot I owned it. So, no, I haven't. I should have, but I am dumb. I am dumb. Okay. Oh, my goodness. So many, guys. So many. There's 106 of you now. What are you doing? What are you doing? Go, get on with your lives. People, what are you wasting your time here with me for? No, I'm just kidding. Thanks, everybody, for showing up. Dizzy Billy, would you ever consider doing a one-shot that's holiday-themed? Yeah, maybe. Maybe I'll quickly do up a Halloween one. I did do a Halloween-themed episode at Halloween for Season 1. I remember that. That was an early episode. I think it was like episode 6 or 7, maybe. So I have done that before. Magnificent Devil says, my parents confiscated my D&D books back in the 80s, at least until they tried to read them. Their eyes glazed over in boredom, and then they gave them back. That sounds plausible. That sounds very plausible. Ferrets rock. The meticulous editing is the secret sauce that makes your show stand out, in my opinion. Thank you. I do try very hard to keep it moving, and it is meticulous. Believe me. If you could see the amount of time I agonize over every little frame, it takes a lot. Okay. Never fear. Thoughts on maze rats as a system, not just using it for random tables. Yeah, maze rats is super light. I prefer a little more crunch, a little more rules. But it is great. Certainly. Okay. Oh my goodness. Alex Jager. Look at you. What do you watch? Look at you, Alex. Hello. Welcome. What are some of your favorite moments in all your time of gaming? You mean the moments playing with you, Alex? Is that what you're getting at? That's a big question. I could address that question in an entire separate episode, and maybe I will in the future, so remind me again. Okay. Every time I try and scroll, I lose my place, so bear with me, guys. I'm still very new at this whole live chat thing. I just got my streaming software working, so forgive me. All right, where are we here? And Willona's Cave, Tome of Adventure, it's a bit overwhelming as well. Yeah, it can be overwhelming. There's a ton of stuff in there. I find a lot of the time I have to ignore a lot of roles because they're just too high fantasy. They're too gonzo. But it is just such an excellent supplement, regardless. All right. Eric Downing, have you had a chance to delve into Against the Dark Master yet? No. The sad reality is that I do not have enough hours in the rest of my life to be able to do all the games I want to do. So I have to be careful about what I choose to put my attention on. The other thing, too, is that, as I discovered last night in my Vampire 5 game, if I have too many game systems running around my head, I start to get them confused in sessions. And you start to forget, wait a minute, how does combat work in this game? Or wait a minute, is it perception or awareness? What's it called in this game? So I have to be careful. If I take on too much at once, then everything starts to blur into one big gelatinous blob of rules, which is no good for anybody. Zero says, idea, a series of one-shot solo where you try and teach a new system. That's kind of what Featureless Great Plain is going to be. Kind of. So you'll get something like that. Okay. Gideon Rosen says, Trevor, what's your opinion about using ICRPG, Index Card RPG, for the next season of MMD? That's a really neat little game. It's too light for my tastes. It doesn't have quite enough heft. So I probably won't use it, but it is a neat and really well-made product, for sure. Okay. Tigger Plays says, just popped in quickly as real life prevents me joining or supporting as much as I used to. Glad to see you're keeping well and the channel's doing well. Thank you so much for your past support, and we would welcome you back anytime you want to come. But just thanks for watching anyway. Obviously, the YouTube algorithm favors views and likes and comments and engagements, so that all helps. I know that we're going into a time of potential recession over the world, and that's going to make it harder for people to part with their hard-earned money to support independent creators like myself. So I understand your positions. That said, you guys are really helping me pay the bills, and that is fantastic. Not only pay the bills, you guys are helping me. Like, I just upgraded my whole studio, brand new 4K cameras. I'm on one right now, so I'm very excited about that. It was a ton of money, but boy, season 4 when I finally get to it is just going to be great. Okay. Oh, Willona's Cave says, highlight the question you are answering so when you scroll, you don't lose your place. Well, look at you. Look at you, knowing things that I don't. Okay. Tigger Plays also says, when I can, I catch up while sipping from my Me, Myself, and Die glass, which made it safe to the UK. That is awesome. We do try to make sure you get your stuff. All right, where are we here? Where are we? Let me refresh the Patreon list to make sure I'm not missing anything there. Mikhail says, Burning Wheel for season 4? Ha 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 ha. Yes, ha 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 is the appropriate response for that. For those of you who don't know my opinion on Burning Wheel, you should watch my Sage's Library on it. Love the game, hate the game at the same time. That said, I can never say never, because I do get inspired randomly by things, and I'll be like, yes, damn it, we're doing Burning Wheel, boom. So you never know. Okay. Okay. Ferret's Rock says, is there any tool, digital or otherwise, that you wish existed for solo play? Any tool? There are so many out there. I don't think I've encountered a situation yet where I felt that I didn't have support from the supplements. So I'm good. I mean, a lot of people do solo stuff on the computer, and there's all kinds of all kinds of stuff for Iron Sworn, to play Iron Sworn on your computer and stuff. I'm really old school. I like pen and paper and dice in my hand and things on a table. So computer play is not it's not my chosen thing, and a lot of the tools that come out now are specifically designed for that. So it's not really full me. Zero says, we all know that it will be Forbidden Lands for season 4. Maybe. Oh, I do love Forbidden Lands. I'm going to do a Sage's Library on Forbidden Lands. In fact, that's the next one in the doc. I really like the game. I have some problems with it. Problem's too strong a word. I have some minor issues with it that prevent me from diving fully into it, but I'll talk about that in that episode. Okay, let's see. Stool Pigeon says, Trevor, I'd love to hear a story from the good old days. Any game flops or cringe moments from back then? Dude, we do not have enough hours in the day to tell you about all of the cringy adventures that I ran that were utter failures. But I will dedicate a video to that if you are interested. I can tell you all of my terrible gaming stories. That sounds like a fun video. I think I'll do it. Thanks for the idea. I will put that on the list. Okay. Lee Solomon says, trying to get my son into RPGs. Any ideas? Well, I started with basic D&D. The old Moldvay edition. Tom Moldvay? Was that it? Was that the sort of pink box from 1980? With the, not with the red dragon on the cover, but it was the Arrow Lotus painting, with the sea serpent and the guy with the spear and the wizardess casting something. Anyway, I started with that game. Go back to basics, man. I was like 8 years old when I first played that game. Played it just fine. So that would be a lot of people say, do something rules lighter. I'm a real proponent of stretching young minds. I'm a real proponent of introducing young kids to things they haven't experienced before and having them earn their enjoyment. When a young kid looks at a rule system, that can be really hard to understand. That doesn't mean it's impossible. I encourage parents to get their kids into RPGs, but let them figure the RPG out for themselves. It's too hard. No, it's not. If I could do it, anybody could do it. Yeah, that would be my recommendation. Basic D&D, man. Or one of the infinite retro clones that is basically basic D&D. Hi, Trevor, says Gibeus1. Big fan of the show. Thanks for putting it out there. You are welcome. Are you secretly disappointed you haven't had to deal with a protagonist's death in a season yet? Curious to see how that'd be handled. I am, actually. I always am afraid of that eventuality. But how I would handle it is how George R.R. Martin handled it in Game of Thrones. When Ned Stark dies at the end of the first book, spoiler alert, you think, that can't be. What happens now? Well, what happens now is the story keeps going. The other characters take more precedence. If Simon had died halfway through the first season, the show would have gone on. It just would have looked a whole lot different because now it would have been Edbert and Arn that were the main characters. Or maybe somebody else that showed up. The world goes on. The story is not predetermined when I play. The story is that which happened. So if the protagonist, the main character, dies, that's not the end of the tale. The tale goes on until the vows are completed, right? Or until some reasonably satisfying ending is achieved. That doesn't mean victory, by the way. That does not mean victory. But a reasonably satisfying conclusion is achieved. So that's how I would handle it. I hope it never happens because I love my characters. But it could. Okay, where are we here? Okay. Oh, I lost my place again. Stool Pigeon says, terrible tables with Trevor. Terrible tales, maybe? That's good. Willona's Cave, Forbidden Lands is awesome. Loves the Stronghold rules. Me too. Really great stuff. Really cool stuff. And that is a common theme with a lot of Free Leagues games is the stronghold building rules. They have it in Vaesen, they have it in T2K, they have it in Mutant Year Zero, they have it in Forbidden Lands. Really great stuff. I really love their systems. I love that company. They're just doing fantastic work. Gray Army Gaming. It's a very interesting question. Do you feel like the more successful you become, the less free you become to explore or experiment? Or do you feel your fans are behind all the crazy random twists and turns in your gaming? I hope you guys are behind the crazy random twists and turns, because that's the only thing that keeps me enjoying it. Very often I am told or requested by viewers, why don't you do D&D 5e? If you do D&D 5e, your viewership would explode, because that's what everybody knows. And that may be true. I just can't do it. I just can't bring myself to do it. Not because I think D&D 5e is a bad game. It is not. It does what it does beautifully. And what it does is 5e. And that is not something I am hugely interested in, at least not for long periods. I play 5e, I run 5e, but it's always in tiny little bites because I become dissatisfied with the whole experience of 5e very, very quickly for all kinds of reasons. Again, that is not me saying it's a bad game. That's not me saying you shouldn't play it or any of that nonsense. That's just me saying, for me, 5e is unsatisfying on certain levels. So I'm definitely not going to be doing 5e for Season 4, I can tell you that. I will always be doing crazy twists and turns. Some people don't like that, and that's fine. You know, the oldest rule of showbiz is you can't please them all. At the end of every season, I have at least one comment that is a scathing critique of the ending. I can't believe this happened. This is terrible. These characters are dead to me. This should have happened, and I would have done this, and blah, 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 blah. To which my response is, thanks for watching. You can't please them all. Not everybody's going to like what I do. That's the way it is. Oh well, too bad, so sad, move on. Luckily, there's enough of you out there that do seem to like what I'm doing. So as long as you guys stick around and still like what I'm doing and still support me, then we'll keep doing more crazy stuff. Okay. Oh, Kirk B. from Winnipeg, Canada. Just saying hi. Keep up all the great work. Thanks, Kirk. Thanks for coming out. Where are we here? Todd Zurcher says, cringy gaming stories are the glue that binds our community. Yeah, you sadly could be right. Sadly could be right. Okay. You know what? I'm going to keep going. I was going to limit this to an hour, but you know what? There's so many of you watching right now. And I'm feeling good. Hoorah! All right. Although I'm getting a little dry in the throat. Okay. Magnificent Devil says, I want to do a Forbidden Lands game focused on a goblin peddler as the main character. I'm calling it Adventure Capitalism. Yeah, sure. Why not? Tell us how it goes. Where are we? John Barry says, I disagree on the solo combat for Forbidden Lands. It's excellent if you use the cards you can buy for it. I'm not sure what you're referring to. Did I say something that I didn't like the solo combat in Forbidden Lands? Have I mentioned that? I'm not sure what you're referring to there, but I do use the cards because they're fun and they're tactile and I like things at the table. Where are we here? Bearded Devil 1864 says Old School Essentials is a good BX clone. Yeah, I've seen a lot of people talk about that one, especially Professor Dungeon Master over on, what is his channel called? Dungeon Craft? Dungeon? Anyway, I'm sure you guys will say it in the chat. I'm a supporter of his on Patreon. He's does a lot of great stuff. I think he did a review on BX1, Old School Essentials, and a lot of people have. It's good, and if I was wanting to go back to D&D, I would probably go back to something like that, but there's just so many other games out there I'm interested in. The likelihood of me going back to any kind of D&D clone is pretty slim. That said, I've got some friends that are trying to start a Pathfinder 2 intro game for me and some people, and I'm very interested in that, which is odd. I have a feeling Pathfinder 2 is going to be a lot like D&D for me, because it's basically the same thing in terms of its feel. In terms of its style, mechanics are different. Yes, I know the three action economy makes things different and blah 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 blah. But basically, anything that is class and level based, I kind of shy away from. But always willing to try. Always willing to try. In fact, I think you might be able to see in the back I have the Pathfinder 2 core rulebook there. So always willing to try new things. Never fear 1911. How deadly is Dungeon World? How likely was it for Simon to have died? In Dungeon World, like the Powered by the Apocalypse game? I've run Dungeon World a number of times. I don't think it's super deadly, but well, it's as deadly as you want to make it, because the way those games work is it's up to the GM to interpret or to set the level of conflict and obstacle for the player based on what just happened. So really, it's like the old thing in Ironsworn where people say, "Oh, I'm in a fight with a bandit and I pay the price. Oh, and now I'm dead." And I think, well, taking damage is only one possibility for paying the price. There's all kinds of things that could happen. You could be put at a disadvantage that makes your next action harder. You could lose supply. You could be put on bad footing, or you could be put into a precarious position. You could have some random event happen that causes both of you to whatever. The point is, there's many things besides just take damage, right? So those games are as deadly as you want them to be, right? Caverna Dolekis says George Martin used Mythic to write Game of Thrones. I don't know if that's true, but if it is, I would not be surprised one bit. Topher Scott says, big fan, love the stories you create with Simon and Arn and the other guy. You don't remember Edbert? Come on, he's the best character. Well, I don't know if that's true, but I liked him. Foxy the Pirate Fox, how far do you plan to take the story? I presume you mean the story of Edbert, Arn, and Simon. I don't know. I don't plan on anything. As far as I'm concerned, every season I do is my last until I get to the end and realize I've left it on a cliffhanger, so I have to do another one. So I don't know. I don't have a plan. I just keep going and see what happens. All right. All right. So many things. Let me refresh the Patreon list here just to make sure. I think a lot of my patrons right now are not online. But Lee B is online and asks, I saw Spirit of the Century on your shelf. Thoughts? Fate in general? I will be doing a Sage's Library on Fate, not specifically on Spirit of the Century. I have many thoughts on Fate. Not all of them good. I will be perfectly honest. Not one of my favorite games. Many things in it that I love. Many things in it that I think are really cool. But overall, it doesn't really jive for me, but I'll talk about that when I do that episode. Because it's worthy of discussion, and I know a lot of people out there really love Fate. Yui Garon says, yeah, please don't do 5e. No worries there. I won't. All right. Okay, lost my place again here. Jared253 says, yeah, 5e is not for this channel, respect. Yeah, I think it probably isn't. I mean, I did a 5e thing, a little experiment called Behind the GM Screen, where I was running a randomly created, on-the-fly D&D 5e game with a couple of my friends in Vancouver online. And every time I would have to determine a random thing, I would turn and break the fourth wall and talk directly to the viewer to explain my thought process. I thought it was a really cool idea for a video. Didn't do as well as I thought. I thought that one would go huge. It didn't. It did okay. But I'm like, okay. You never know with YouTube. You never know what's going to work. What's not going to work. Okay. Zero says, I dare you to go for Burning Wheel for Season 4. I'm not taking that dare. Inquisitor of Kozulik Game says, I just started watching your stuff today. It's really great. Thank you and welcome. Welcome to the channel. Join us. Topher Scott, you should come to Austin, Texas and do a small gaming convention. Do you know of any small gaming conventions in Austin, Texas? Because I live in San Antonio, so I am just a hop, skip, and a jump from there. I was in LA. I know a lot of you think I'm in LA still. I moved last year. I'm in San Antonio, Texas now. Okay. Still working remotely. All is well. Okay. Willona's Cave says, just respond to the haters. Thank you for subscribing. They love that response. Well, I don't know if I call them haters. I don't think I've ever encountered a true hater in my channel, which is amazing. I've had over 1 million views of my videos, and I've never actually had a real troll. I'm amazed. Every day I check, and I'm like, okay, when's the troll coming? Because, of course, there's always going to be a troll. But so far, I wouldn't call them haters. The people that have criticisms of the ending, especially of my show, they're valid criticisms, but it always boils down to opinion. You know, basically their criticisms are, well, in my opinion, I would have done it differently. Okay, but you could say that about a movie too. Well, I would have written it differently. Yeah, but you didn't write the movie. You watched it. So that's great and all, but maybe go make your own and then we can talk. But I don't think they're haters. They're just, maybe they're disappointed. That's fair. It's all fair. I don't lose a lot of sleep over it. And so I just say, hey, thanks for subscribing. Thanks for watching. Okay. Vampire Lord, channel subscriber. Glad you're feeling good. I'm feeling good, baby. I'm feeling fine. All right. Where are we here? Ryan D., my fellow Canuck, says, I think the Free League games would be great for solo play because of the AI monster charts. Yeah, they're great. I love Free League. Have I mentioned that I loved Free League? Any interest in being an official sponsor of the channel, Free League? I'm open. Okay. Dungeon Craft. Thank you, Scrapper. Yes, that is the name of the channel of Professor Dungeon Master that I was, think. David Bonilla Moreno says, hey, Trevor, thanks for the West Marches video. You're welcome. Would you at any point intervene and create a campaign storyline, or is it random all the way? That is an excellent question. No, not in a West Marches game. I would not intervene and create a campaign storyline, as you say, because that goes against the spirit of the West Marches style. However, when you have all of these plot threads that are emerging through the random exploration and antics and shenanigans of the characters, inevitably connections are going to form. And when they do, that could very easily suggest overarching plots of NPCs, things going on in the background, which are as close as I ever want to get to a storyline. Because again, especially in a West Marches game, the story is that which the players did at the last session. Not anything in the future. So now there's a fine line between having a storyline in mind and understanding the machinations of your NPC factions. So here's the thing. You've got NPCs and NPC factions, and they, just like characters, all want things. They have desires. They have objectives, things they're trying to achieve in the game world. The fact that they're trying to achieve those things, and they may butt up against what the players are trying to achieve, that creates the storyline. But it is not predetermined. So it's the difference between this cult is trying to resurrect a dead god in the mountains, say, and if the players stumble across them, they will probably have conflict because maybe the players are trying to loot and plunder the tomb of the dead god, say. That sounds like a perfect, conflict waiting to happen. So it's the difference between that and this. When the players find the tomb of the dead god, they encounter the cult, and the cult leader knows that they're coming after them and has laid a trap for them. That's getting into pre-scripted story territory. Now, that's not bad. You can pepper your West Marches game with elements of that. Just like, somebody asked me, do you what about pre-placing existing dungeons? Of course I do that. I'm not an idiot. I don't want to make everything about the flight. That's hard. I want to make my job easy. So I know that in this hex, there's a big orc castle. A ruined castle the orcs have taken over, and they're planning to launch attacks against local residents. I know that because I've just decided this is a thing that's here. Now, that's not a storyline. That's an NPC faction in the world. Do the players interact with them? I don't know. It depends on where the players go and what they do and what they choose to do. So it's becoming apparent to me as I read a lot of comments from people that this West Marches thing is really not a common way of playing. And that's fine, but it is an old school way of playing. And it was kind of one of the original ways of playing. The idea of playing through a story, that only really started to happen in the 80s with the beginnings of modules like, or with the introduction of modules like Dragonlance and stuff like this. I think I'm right about this. I could be wrong about some of the details, but certainly from my recollection, that was the case. And when that happened, suddenly the game became a vehicle for people to tell their stories. And that's fine. We had a lot of fun with that. But I think that if you relegate yourself to telling a story in a role-playing game, you're actually cheating yourself out of the potential experience that only a role-playing game can give you, which is that participation in a living world and that discovery of a world, and your actions determine the story, which is different. Do you understand? I'm going on and on about this, but I feel very strongly about it. So anyway, there's a long-winded answer to that. How far back have I fallen? Let's see. Cybrim talks about Shadow of the Demon Lord. I love Shadow of the Demon Lord. That is on my list of games to talk about on Sage's Library. Love it. I've only ran it once, but oh, it's so good. It's like a version of Warhammer in terms of the world. It's very dark and grim, but the system is kind of like 5e light, but still with a lot of mechanical heft to it. I really like that game. Gideon says, speaking of Burning Wheel, I noticed you have Mouse Guard in your library. Have you tried playing it? I never have. It's sat on the shelf, has never been played. I also have Torchbearer. I couldn't wrap my mind around that one. I'll go back to it at some point. But so far... All right. Never Fear 1911. Have you tried Knave? I have it. Never run it. These are all in the vein of the what I call the ultralight retro clones. They're all basically just D&D. And again, if I was to go back to D&D, actually, if I was to go back to D&D, I would probably go back to the Rules Cyclopedia version of it, which was the amalgamation of basic, expert, master, companion, and immortals rules, which was the Menser. Frank Menser? Am I getting that right? I'm terrible with names. Anyway, they were games that came out in the 80s, and they were basically, they took a D&D character from level 1 to, I think, 36, I think. So the companion rules basically took all of those rules and put them in one book, and if I was to go back to D&D, I'd probably play that one, just because it feels original. It is. It's the original. Or it's one of the... Whatever. Who cares? Who cares what it is? I just do it. Okay. Ticking Time Bob Gaming. I know you have reviewed Hornmaster. Have you ever played Chaosium's King Arthur Pendragon RPG? I'm curious what your thoughts are about it. I never did play that one. I own a very early version of it, but I never played it. So I don't have thoughts about it. I'd love to check it out. Great designers, great setting. From what I know, the system, I think we've inadvertently stolen the personality aspects for our Hornmaster game, unofficially. Because I seem to remember my friend Ashley, who was playing a knight, he basically took the personality mechanics of Pendragon and applied them to his character. And if I remember this right, the personality mechanics in Pendragon, you have basically two extremes. You have like loyalty and selfishness or something. And there's a number. And if it's like loyalty 12, that means that if you want to determine what your character does, you roll a d20, and if you get 12 or less, he's more on the loyal side. But if you get 13 or more, he's more on the selfish side. I think that's how the Pendragon rules work. That's certainly how we stole them and implemented them in Hornmaster. But I love that, because that allows the player to say, I don't know what the character's going to do. Let's see. And that's really cool, because a lot of the times in gaming, I found for myself, I default to a version of me, and that's all fine and good, but sometimes I really do just want to play someone totally different. And so Pendragon rules like that, if I don't know how the character's going to respond to a certain conflict, well, to be able to roll dice on his personality to see which direction he goes, I love that. Not everybody does, but I love that. All right, where are we here? Let's check out some more patron stuff. I don't know how far back I'm getting here. James Knight says, I used to be happy in my ignorance of tabletop RPGs, and then I got hooked on Simon and Crew. Now I've got a shelf full of books and writer's cramp from journaling. I think I hate you all. Well, LOL. Well, sorry, man. Sorry for exposing you to this dreadful hobby. All right. Where are we? Let me scroll down here, see how far. Oh, boy, I'm falling behind. Oh, I'm falling behind. Oh, wow. 128 of you. Hello, everyone. Hello. Once more, a reminder. I'm supposed to insert ad here. This is a new product. the handmade Me, Myself, and Die coffee mug. This will be up on the website, memyselfanddie.com/store or shop. I think it's store, whatever. You'll find it. This will be up for sale soon, probably by the end of the day, so check that out. And, of course, my patrons, especially my D10 level patrons, always get a discount code when they're buying from the store. So do consider joining us on Patreon. Or join us here on the YouTube channel, because there's all kinds of cool little perks, including priority questions. So we go to one of our YouTube channel members now. Never fear. 1911. The Husk is after Arn. Uar's Vath is after Edbert through Carlos. Who will get to the target first? That, my friend, will be answered in Season 4. Again, I don't know. You want to make a bet? Who's going to take bets? Let's take some bets. Caverna Dulecki says, do you see that every system you played so far on your channel has grown in popularity? I've noticed a lot of people on Reddit. I don't really haunt Reddit a lot, but I have noticed a lot of people talking about Dominion rules, and I think, is that me? Was that me? Was that me doing that? Maybe it was me, and that would be kind of cool if it was. But, you know, just trying to help out the independent creators. Nigel Hobbs, do you ever pick a bit from one or more systems and drop it into your main game? For example, hit location from RuneQuest and dropping it into AD&D first edition when playing face-to-face. Yes, we did that all the time. We were always in a quest to cobble together, to Frankenstein the best game we could out of all the different elements. It becomes a little messy a lot of times. And I basically kind of came to a point where I thought, you know what? I'm just going to play the game that the designer gave us and just go with that. If I play a game for a long time, if I run a game, invariably I'm going to introduce certain house rules because that's just the way it is. No RPG is perfect for every group, and invariably you introduce house rules, and very often I take those house rules from other games. So pretty much exactly what you suggested, cobbling together different rule sets from other ones. Anthony Biasotti, can someone explain with the group consensus here, or why is everyone against D&D 5e? Is it just because it's mainstream or played out, or is it because of the actual mechanics of the game? Well, for the record, I'm not against 5e. I'm not. As I said before, I don't think it's a bad game. I think it does what it does very, very, very well. It's just what it does is not something I'm hugely interested in. So I'm not against it. But you guys are free to chat amongst yourselves as to why you may like it or not. Just play nice, because this isn't a forum to start attacking each other over your game preferences, because that's all it is. Preferences over a little game where we play silly characters in the fantasy world. So let's not take anything too seriously. Okay. Eric Downing, what cover of D&D, AD&D, or Dungeon or Dragon magazine inspired you to play back in the day? Tons, man. Tons. I remember when I first saw the cover of the first edition Dungeon Master's Guide. The one with the Ifrit, which I thought was a statue, but it wasn't a statue. It was actually an Ifrit. A giant demon-looking guy. That was so awesome. And the Dragon magazine covers back in the 80s, oh, those were works of art. Some of those things just spoke volumes. I got whole adventure ideas, whole campaign ideas based on some of those pieces of art. So, yeah, so many of them. Megalodon 8, Trevor, do you run campaigns for subscribers? Not yet. It's always something I'm considering. There's a whole bunch of logistics issues with that. But it is possible that a higher tier level might be introduced down the road where I do something like that. I've talked about it before with the patrons, and there's a lot of interest. It's just that's a whole other thing. That's a tremendous time sink for me, and I have to make sure that I have the time and that it's going to be worth it for me to provide that for you guys. Okay. Yuigaran says, I saw someone else say recently that procedural play, like what you do, takes the question, how will they survive, and removes the word how entirely. And that's what makes it great. So the question becomes, will they survive? I don't know if I understand that question. But you say it's what makes it great, so I'll take your word for it. Caverna says, I can see that several soloist players are saying good things about the Cypher system. Monty Cook Games just sent me the Cypher system book. I have it. In fact, again, it's on that shelf behind me there. I haven't really looked at it yet. so I can't say anything about it yet. But again, I will be doing, at the very least, a mailbag on that one, because I try and do episodes on everything that people send me, because it's the very least I can do. It's the very least I can give back, is to do, not really reviews. You know, those of you who see my channel, I'm not really a reviewer exactly, but I do like to talk about certainly the positive things in these games that I have. Three Blind Dice, great name, by the way. For what it's worth, I loved behind the GM screen. Good. I'm glad you are one of the few, the proud, the brave that enjoyed it. Midshipman, how about Traveler? Traveler is a great game. I'm going to be doing a Sage's Library on Traveler. That is also on the list. Magnificent Devil, YouTube subscriber. Responding to Anthony Biasotti says, I can only answer for me, but a game of 5e, for me, is like a McDonald's cheeseburger. You get exactly what you expect, but it is very much the same as every other. Interesting. That's an interesting metaphor. I can understand why you say that. I'm not saying I 100% agree with you, but I can understand why you say that. Okay, I'm behind. Here we go. John Barry says the problem with trolls is regeneration. Kill them with fire. I agree. I mean, not literally, if we're talking about people who leave nasty comments. Obviously, I'm not advocating killing anybody, because that's, well, it'll get me banned for one thing. Otherwise, it's also monstrous, so... All right. Midshipman says, I like how down-to-earth you make your decisions. I think that really helps forward momentum. Overthinking has crippled me before. That's a very common problem from what I understand. And why I always say, go with your first instinct and forget about it. Just keep going. Okay. David Moreno says, have you ever checked Glass Cannon podcast? I think you running a game with players on audio podcast format would do great. I know of them. I don't know much about them. I know they play a bunch of different games, and I think they are just audio, right? I know they've got tons of patrons. So they're doing something right. But yeah, I'm always open to collaboration with all kinds of people. So we'll see what happens there. Okay. Stool Pigeon says, we should all email Free League and ask them to work with me, myself, and Die. What an excellent idea. And it has arisen organically from the fandom, as opposed to me forcing it and thrusting it upon that company. That would be awesome. Not that I'm asking you to do it. All right. Where are we here? Natas Duval. Question, be honest, did you ever skew the dice rolls off camera? I've answered this question before. The answer is yes, very, very occasionally. But it was always when the dice rolls created a result that didn't make any sense. So it was never, I don't like that, Simon took damage here, I'm going to re-roll that attack against him. It was never that. It was always... what does this thing mean? And I roll an interpretation and I sit there for 5 minutes going, I got nothing on this. I'm just going to roll it again until I come up with something that actually does trigger something. But that's it. So the answer is yes and no. I have fudged off camera, but not to change the outcome of the character's journey, if that makes sense. Okay. Wayham, have you tried Blades in the Dark? Any thoughts on that? Again, I'm going to be doing a Sage's Library, not on Blades in the Dark, but Band of Blades, which is its cousin game, which I played in and ran very briefly. I played the whole first campaign, had a great time, tried to run it. My players had a great time. I did not. But I will talk about that in the Sage's Library episode when I get to it. The Arcane Library says, Trevor, you're the best. I am. I'm the best? I don't know what to say. I guess I'd just like to thank my agent. Thank you for that. Magnificent Devil, channel subscriber, says Forbidden Lands Raven's Purge is an epic campaign without a linear storyline that can be interacted with in many different ways. Free League did send me Raven's Purge, so I have that. Again, haven't had a chance to really look at it. But again, I'm sure if it's anything like their other products, it's going to be awesome. Okay. We are getting... oh boy, we're up to an hour and a half now. All right, let's scroll down here, see what we got. Let's see what my subscribers or my channel members are asking. Lots of D&D 5e talk, which is fine. Oh, is Tell the Manticore? Yay, Tell the Manticore's here. Hello. For those of you who don't know Tale of the Manticore, go check out his audio podcast. It's great stuff. Great stuff. Okay. Never Fear 1911. Glass Cannon's Delta Green game was good. Yeah, I should check them out. I mean, everybody talks about them. I should definitely check them out. Okay. Oh my goodness. I'm down to the end here, which is good. Prep Cook Survive says, hi, Trev, hi all. Halfway through season 2 and just wanted to say thanks for all the awesome content. You are welcome. Thanks for watching. I love doing the show. I love portraying these characters and having their stories emerge. I love editing it. I love putting the music and the sound effects to the main show. I'm really enjoying these supplemental videos now. I'm really enjoying the Sage's Library and post-session reflection and mailbag because, A, they're way easier to do. They take way less time to do. But also, they just allow me to discuss things that I'm really interested in. I do a show just for my D10 level patrons on Patreon called Drinking with DMs, which is long-form interviews with me and my compatriots, people I've played with, people I haven't played with. Tale of the Manticore did Drinking with DMs with me. And it's just us talking about all kinds of game-related stuff. So if you're interested in hearing that, by all means, consider joining the Patreon, and you can have access to all that stuff, as well as the behind-the-scenes stuff that I do for the patrons up there. I also, especially for the D10 level patrons, I try and drop episodes early to give you guys a sort of a sneak peek at stuff. And, you know, things like for the patrons, we did a poll about what the name of the game world is going to be, which the poll's still open, by the way. So if you guys haven't voted on that, do watch or do go check that out and add your voice. Okay, Ryan from Canada. I don't like 5e at all. The superhero genre isn't really my thing. I find it far too slow. Yeah, that's basically my big issue with 5e. It's superhero fantasy role-playing. And that's great if you like it. I get bored with it, unfortunately. Okay. Where are we? I think we're coming to the end. Nigel Hobbs says he hates me. I hate you. I just upgraded from D6 to D10. Just don't tell the wife. Huzzah! Another sucker! I kid. Well, welcome to the D10 tier. Welcome to the D10 tier. Never Fear 1911 says solo RPG guy, another OG in the hood. OG in the hood. Okay, one more test here. We are running on an hour and a half, and I start to lose my voice. So I'm going to take one last swib. I'm going to take a swib. A swib. What is a swib? A swib is what I'm taking. Of my specially designed grape juice. Grey Army Gaming, my prophecy, me, myself, and I is going to explode any day now. 100,000 YouTube subs in no time. Get ready for the paparazzi, Trevor. Well, one can only dream. The channel has been growing consistently since I started it. I only started advertising the channel this year. Everything was word of mouth up to that point. And I've doubled my subscribers in that time, which is fantastic. I've doubled my patrons, which is fantastic. My goal is to get enough revenue from YouTube and Patreon and all the various sources that I can do this 100% full time, which is going to be impossible to do. There's no way, because in order for this to be as sustaining as my voice career is, I'd have to have like 1 million subscribers. So I don't think that's going to happen. But it is a goal. You know, we can all shoot for the moon. I would love to be able to make this my 100% dedicated thing, that I don't have to worry about doing other jobs or, you know, doing voice work or anything like that. Not that I don't want to do voice work. Obviously, I've been doing voice work in Hollywood for 22 years and I love it. But this is great, and this has been a real experience for me to engage with you guys as well. To first of all, to understand that there's so many of you out there. I mean, yes, I know there's gamers out there, but the solo people, the idea of a solo community, it seems like an oxymoron to me, but there you all are. And also, too, I'm not just a solo guy. Like I really do try and appeal to gamers of all stripes. That's my goal here. So I don't want people to think I'm just the solo guy. That's another reason why I do a lot of these supplemental videos. You know, I want to provide stuff that's of use to, your run-of-the-mill GM out there with the run-of-the-mill table and stuff like that. Anyway, anyway, so don't misunderstand. I love my voiceover career, and I want it to carry on for as long as possible, but I love this as well, and I would love for this to become a second career. It would be fantastic. Anyway, I gotta go. It is an hour and a half. Thank you all so much for joining. If you do want to continue help supporting the channel, again, as usual, please do hit like and subscribe on this chat. As well, consider becoming a YouTube channel member. The link for that is below, or joining us on Patreon, or buy some of the merch, like the new mug that's going to be available later today, and all handmade here in the shop. Anything you can do to help, or buying the supplements that I use, all of those are listed in the notes below. They're all drive-through RPG links, and when you buy them, it costs you the same amount, but I do get a little sort of kickback. So everything helps to help keep the channel going. So thanks so much, everyone. I'm glad you all showed up, and I'm going to do this more often. So I'll announce it on YouTube and on Patreon, so you'll know when it happens, and I'll do it at different times, different days, different times a day, so that everybody gets a chance, because I know you guys are all spread out over Europe and North America and South America and all over the place. So yeah, I will try and accommodate everybody's time zones as best I can. Okay, everyone, thanks. I'm going to try and sign out now and learn how that works.